barrier in this case, but like language bridge almost, you want to call it, because like in the laning stage, Resolution and Zayats can speak in a different language than the other lane that is being played, and it kind of like separates the comms in that way. And there's like, if you take any teams and you put them in lane practice and they're just sitting in voice together with just the lanes, they perform like 150% better in the lanes, because all you're focusing on is that. And that's what they get to do in-game, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's actually a really cool point that you bring up, because often comms can get very diluted. There can be a lot of talking going on, and it may get a little bit confusing, but just by having that language in common, it makes it easier. But also, outside of that, Rezo and Zayats have been playing together forever. I remember when Rezo tweeted out the best offlane duo in the world looking for a team, and people were like, huh, aren't you on vacation? But they get picked up by potentially the best team that you want to pick you up at that stage, the team that has the likeliest chance to actually qualify for TI outside of the DPC system, and it happens. It all worked for them.
It really did. Of course, the new addition is also Chrysalis. I gotta imagine, it's been since 2014 that Sing Sing was on the stage at the International. It's about time that we have more Dutch players coming in, so a nice one there for sure. Their opponents, though, they have... They came, Team Secret came second in their group, which means they do not have the luxury of choosing their opponents, which means they got left with PSG.LGD. Tundra picked OG to face instead. It's a tough opponent. This team,
nobody wants to play against this team. Nobody does. Except for Thunder. Except for Thunder.
I mean, that's why Thunder is doing so well, because they want to prove everybody that they're the best. Like, if we can beat PSG.LGD, we can beat anybody. And I mean, the reason why PSG.LGD is so strong is like they play variety of the heroes. You don't know, like it's very difficult to guess what they're gonna go for in terms of like counter picking. They're one of the best teams out there. And one more thing to notice is like we just have to enjoy seeing Ame and Fateon play, because they're one of the greatest players that ever touched the game, and they could potentially retire. That's what they said. You never know with Dota players, but yeah, enjoy.
So Fateon for sure is retiring based on the video that he posted on Chinese social media. There have been rumors that Ame wants to take this win and just not touch Dota for a very long time. Now that one could still be up.
That's fair. That's fair.
That one could still be up in the air, but come on. For me personally, this is LGD's year. They have come so close so many times. Last year had to be painful, and they've also got the retirement story just like Liquid. I mean, they have to be itching for this win more so than any other team in this tournament.
Yeah, and they have also had good results this year. Of course, they came first in the tour for 2 tours in a row. They did well in the regional finals for both of those tours as well. Arlington Major, they came second, losing to T-Spirit in the grand finals. Maybe a little bit painful memories.
The crazy thing is, against Spirit outside of grand finals, they're like 14-3 versus Spirit. But then when it comes to grand finals, they're like 17-9 or something like that. So it's like Team Spirit loses unless it's grand finals, where LGD seems to not be able to just push it a little bit farther.
But you know what? I think LGD has a bit of an edge this year, because I think that loss to Spirit and Arlington really humbled them and taught them a valuable lesson, because up until that point, it really felt like Spirit, it felt like LGD were so confident in the ideas that they have that when they do lose, it kind of shakes them, right? Sometimes they'll get stubborn and pick a hero twice in a row, even when it's not good. And getting that experience losing so early on in the year is going to be even better for TI. I mean, we saw them kind of suck day one of group stage and then just bring it back completely. So just being able to recover mentally is a very, very good sign for LGD fans at home.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind as well is that for PSG.LGD, they might not have had a lot of experience this year in LAN settings, because there was just no opportunity for them to. But this team is no stranger to playing on LAN, so any kind of stage jitters you can imagine, they don't have them. They have played under the biggest of pressures, of course, in that finals. If they want to do that again, they need to start in this upper bracket and just win a couple of games. Let's see if they can do that with the first one. It's over to game 1.
PSG.LGD versus Team Secret. Game 1.
It's nitty-gritty Dota time. That's right, the draft will shortly be upon us. It's time to talk Dota now. We just came out of a series where we had so many kills. It was so action-packed. Lacoste, are you feeling that this is going to be the style of Dota we're going to see all day, or is it these two teams creating a different style?
I think it's going to be pretty much the same story, where it's going to be heavily lane focused, a lot of aggression early on. You want to get that first Roshan, keep the advantage, as we've seen in the previous game where they just like smoke, take the fight near the Roshan, and then go for like an extra objective after that. Makes the game a lot easier. Both of these teams, they know how to play aggressive. They know how to play with the advantage. They also know how to play from behind. So it's just going to be a great Dota. I feel like it.
I do think that this series will go a little bit slower, but I mostly agree with everything that Lacoste said. I do think that main stage meta shifts a little bit compared to group stage, though, where you can see a lot of fighting, a lot of heroes becoming popular, but when you're actually on the stage and the nerves are hitting you, you do tend to go for comfort and potentially more textbook type of plays. So I do expect LGD to not take any risks when it comes to this game one.
All right, well, here we are. We got a first phase ban. Chen, a respect on Puppy there, who I believe has just broken a record during the group stages with the hero-player combination of Chen.
She has.
Yeah, it's maddening how many games he's played on that hero. And Marcy on the side of bans. And it's, okay, PSG.LGD is like, Puppy, you know what? None of that, please.
Yeah, those are Enigma still in the pool. That's the big hero, I think, both of these teams are looking at.
It's going to be a no-brainer.
Yeah, first.
And I mean, it's Secret Silencer. Like,
You got a Silencer.
He has to. Like,
Otherwise, you're going to get Silencer Enigma'd.
Yes.
And then that's a really tough combo.
I
to
remember
play
one
into.
game from the group stage where Puppy played Silencer and he did go for 2 knockdowns. He's really
Of course.
has a game chance.
Yeah.
Like, he tends to break the game with his builds as well. Extremely greedy position 5 player, but he does make it work.
So an interesting thing that Thunder did versus Enigma in the first phase was just try to counter it with a gyro pick, and it worked out so well for them. They didn't have a silencer, they didn't have some niche jump on him hero. They just went for a carry that could outlane him and then outfight him on his timings.
Sniper
So,
works
yeah.
too for a similar, well, you don't have to stop the black hole, you just keep them from outside of the black hole radius.
But, I mean, in a way, Nyx is pretty cool for that too early on. Before Enigma gets his BKB, you can just turn on your carapace and walk into the black hole and just have an easy way to cancel it.
This feels like an age-old combo between these two, like the Nyx and Leshrac. If you just have a list of all the things that Leshrac wants and that he doesn't do, Nyx Assassin provides that. And if you look at the list of the things that Nyx wants and that Leshrac does all of that. It's like, if you hero to scout, you take towers. Nyx doesn't want to sit in lanes and farm creeps. Leshrac consumes all the creeps on the map. They pair perfectly.
But not just that, Nyx is a hero that does like to play around the mid lane as a position 4, right? He wants to secure runes. He needs a hero that can do the kind of damage that he doesn't offer. And Leshrac is one of the best heroes where you have a roaming 4, because if you make a really good rotation around that 5-minute siege creep or that 10-minute one, that's just an easy tower and easy access into the enemy's map. So I do like this Nyx a lot.
Yeah, it's also a flexible pick for Team Secret, this Leshrac, because it has been played on the offlane as well. And like these 2 heroes with double stuns, you're always going to have a kill potential. And being able to kill Pango even with the Diabolic Edict, something that Pango doesn't really like to play into, is he gets on top of Leshrac. Usually if there's no BKB piercing ability, like you might get a fake picture of how much damage you're taking from this Leshrac. Like you connect onto a hero and while Edict is running, you might just die.
And speaking of heroes that went untouched, the SF still in the pool.
Yeah.
I do think that's something that Secret could be looking at, and even potentially LGD. This is just such a high value pick, and the fact that it made it through the first phase entirely is really interesting to me. It just shows how much these teams have prepared for each other and value individual and niche picks more so than the popular ones.
I do wonder, like, speaking of popular picks, like, were they watching that series and they have a different picture of SF now? It's like, if we pick this, it looks like Thunder has figured it out. If we pick it, is, LGD or Secret, will they take that, the counter into their draft after watching that? Like,
also looking at the bans, they did ban Lifestealer, which is a bit of a unusual ban in the second stage. And something that you mentioned, like Gyrocopter, he does work well against the Enigma and the Eidolons. So if they're looking for Gyro, now this Lifestealer ban does make sense.
10 seconds remaining.
I'm really feeling the sniper for Secret. It's like, I mean, there are more heroes that LGD could pick where it becomes kind of like you have to punish it with the sniper because they have so many heroes that just like don't get on top of him. But already against these two heroes, I don't feel like Pango's really that great. He's not like a traditional backline jumper.
Yep.
Like, yeah, he can get on the backline, but you can peep him and kill him through his role. Right? It's not like a Storm Spirit who actually assassinates the backline. He just disrupts them. I don't think Sniper really cares that much, but we'll see. We'll see.
The thing about Sniper, though, is the Sniper player on Secret has always been Nisha. I don't think I've seen Crystals play it once, and unless they're flexing the slash rack to carry Entity style or offlane Beast Coast style, which I also haven't seen Secret do.
They
offlane Lesh.
Yeah, they offlane Lesh.
He goes the same build too as the mid Lesh, just rush Bloodstone.
So then I think you're onto something potentially if they flex the slash to offlane. I also think TA is a hero that you can look at versus both Enigma and Pango.
Yeah, so far, Team Secret has played Sniper 3 times, all in the hands of Nisha, all wins as well. That being said, I mean, they won a lot during the group stage, so I'm not sure how much that is because...
Oh yeah, I totally forgot that even got through. That's insane.
Of course.
That actually made it through the second phase of bans.
Yeah.
Great against Pango too, because you know when he's going in with the role, it's like that's when LGD wants to commit with everything else. So even barring the black hole, it's still a good decent silencer game.
Also still in the pool, the SF that we've talked about.
Yeah,
I
that's
wonder
true.
if it's something LGD is going to pick up here, or just give it away to Secret in the next phase.
It does synergize nicely with all the minus armor from Pango, SF, Eidolons deal more damage. Now it's going to be Tusk.
Team Secrets.
That's a bit of a backline jump for a sniper
Interesting.
or an SF. Like, I feel like you're less inclined to pick it unless you just think that it's really overpowered.
So I actually expected them to just secure their safe lane in this phase on the side of LGD, but they're just gonna leave it for last. They go for the Dazzle and the Tusk. I think Tusk is a really good hero for annoying the Silencer early on, right? Silencer is a good hero to counter Enigma, but when you have these nuisance type heroes like Tusk and Pango that can just go on him early on and set up for a good black hole, it really makes Enigma's life easier. So I do like this Tusk concept here.
Also in the
Still
lane
like the
stage.
SF.
Yeah, just the shards plus Eidolons.
It's an
Silencer
easy
does,
kill. Yeah,
Silencer
he's so
does
dead.
love to play aggressive, get the glaives. Puppy, one of the few players that actually get glaives early on. Like, he
Because you
wants to steal
you
in.
gotta do it.
I mean, I've seen Silencers go in the group stage 0-4-0.
I can't.
I can't as well,
It's too
but
tempting.
it is
like,
what it is.
Gotta get that in.
Also on the PSG.LGD side, double save. You have this Dazzle plus the Snowball, Shield Crash coming out from Pango. The heroes are going to be pretty difficult to kill.
Yeah. Also, the issue that LGD are a little bit concerned about right now is just this Lush plus Nyx potential offlane duo, right? You can't really put a carry in there that's just going to get kicked out of the lane at minute 5. And if you do, it has to be a flash farming style of carry like Sven, which is maybe something that LGD don't want to do in this game.
It's still a flex pick because both like Resolution and Crystallis did play Dawnbreaker with the last rack. So for now, Team Secret just keeping their options open. They do not want to reveal where their heroes are going to go.
But this makes it so annoying for LGD, right? They don't understand if they have to counterplay the slash from their safe lane or counterplay it from the mid lane.
I feel like LGD doesn't actually feel that much pressure on them to counter anything right now, just because Secret has no backline jump. You have a Dazzle in this game who's going to be saving, and Tusk, not really a backliner, but it's saving, and then Enigma too. Yeah,
but you do have like Nyx Assassin to scout things out, Dawnbreaker with the ulti, followed by Silencer ulti. So
it's like
it's
a
pretty
gank,
simple. Yeah, it's a gank. It's like simple to execute Dota, I would say, from Team Secret, where like Nyx Assassin just scouts things out, global silence, you isolate the target and kill it until they get some like defensive items, some force staffs, something to dispel this global with.
And not just that, when the Lesh gets his Blink Dagger, it just becomes so much easier to take these chaotic fights on the side of Secret. So I don't think backline jump is that much of a concern. If they can get a good start on Secret, they can itemize for it and just count on their draft to do the rest.
Yeah, people are going Blink Lesh. It's like Bloodstone Blink, Bloodstone BKB Blink.
5 seconds.
It does eventually turn into that, especially with the Nihilism. If there's some backline right clicker, it can be pretty nice to make it so that they can't right click anyone.
So I haven't actually been able to catch a lot of Secrets games during the group stage, but I think it's so interesting how Resolution has just evolved his hero pool so often, right? I did catch, I think, one offlane Mirana game
He did play that, yes.
that I thought was really interesting, but just the fact that offlane Lush has become a staple for him when previously he was just known as being that Dawnbreaker guy.
Yeah.
Makes me have a lot of faith in this iteration of Secret to not be in a situation where they can get easily outdrafted.
Yeah. And I don't think, PSG.LGD, they are, of course, as we heard from Tsunami earlier today, the team that has the most heroes picked, the most diversity, so they're going to be pretty comfortable as well in that draft.
Looking for two heroes for PSG.LGD, Luna/Terrorblade. I think these two would fit because you are ranged in the laning stage. For TB, it's like half-half, but then again, you have very
PSG.LGD.
And Flashrack does not like to play.
No.
Ten seconds remaining. Dire team pick. Lone Druid. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Crystal Maiden.
Choose your hero.
Thank you, Sheever. Stunts fan here with Cinderin. Upper bracket stop looking at me. TI11 Secret versus PSG.LGD. This is. That's my voice. All right, that distracted me a bit. We are in game though. This is going to be. This is a hype matchup. Second seed Secret, unfortunately for them, have to face off against PSG.LGD, who many feel are the favorites going into this tournament, but they ended up third in their group, Cinderin.
Yeah, they had a little bit of a slow start. I think LGD's day one was one of the weaker ones they've had in quite a while, but they picked up a lot of steam throughout the groups, and that, you know, that's kind of what you want. You want to go into the bracket with in top form, and I think there's a lot of good things to be said about how LGD have developed throughout this tournament. So very curious to see this. Like you said, Secret definitely, is it fair to call them an... I think LGD is going to win until they don't, but...
Well, you were telling me they've been top 3 at 5 TIs, is that right? That is kind of insane. Obviously different rosters for a lot of those, but regardless.
Yeah, they've played every TI since TI2.
Yeah.
And they've got 5 top 3s, but they've never won. I think they've got 2 or 3 second places out of those top 3s. All right, let's see this bit of a run fight.
Early action for the bounty. Zayats ends up netting himself that, but Resolution's going to take a little bit of damage here, which of course we are going to talk about Resolution a bit here, not just because he's awesome, Cinder, but he's playing a silencer, position 3.
Oh, I thought it was because he's playing your voice line. Okay.
I did tell him to do that, and he's been a very good boy so far. Thank you, Roman.
Yeah, silencer offlane, very unusual here from Secret. It is something that I think Puppy's teams historically have been really good at, or how to say it. It's kind of hit or miss sometimes, but he's not afraid of doing uncharacteristic and creative approaches to laning stages to try to solve problems. I'm kind of with the panel though when they say I don't think Silencer fares well against Lone Druid Dazzle. I think this is going to be a tough task for Resolution to do a lot with. He's playing with a support 4 in the Nyx who doesn't have the most laning impact compared to say something like a Marcy. So I think they might have their work cut out for them down here at Flame. A little bit of a trade-off here between Nisha and Nothing to Say. And I just wanted to wrap up the thing we talked about with LGD's TI attendances, right? Because something that's funny about Secret as well is that they've placed like every position at TI, more or less, in the last 6 years.
Yeah.
The only ones that have eluded this roster, I think, are actually 2nd and 1st place. Last year they got 3rd, the year before they got 4th, and I think they had a 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. You know,
right.
they've more or less gone up one placement per year. So is this the year that Secret reaches the finals?
I mean, as you know, I did pick these 2 teams to end up in the finals, which may be a little awkward since they are facing off so early in the upper bracket, but
that doesn't rule it out.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Secret, I think I've locked them in for 2nd place. It's just how it's going to happen. Obviously, Puppy knows more than everybody. But yeah, PSG.LGD obviously very strong, but the groups not as, I mean, they bled a little bit, Cinder. And what do you think that is attributed to? Do you think they've been playing so much over the past, like all these tournaments coming up into TI, maybe a lot of research has been done against them? Or is a lot of it like Secret and teams like Liquid that have really gotten this ball rolling because of the last chance qualifiers?
Yeah, I think in part certain other teams have really raised their level in the last month and kind of caught up to an extent. But I also think aside from that, LGD have been very creative in their strategies. I think when you play this many different heroes and this many different strategies, some are going to miss. Unless you think back to something like Wings at TI6, where they were just so much better than a lot of other teams that they could run almost any heroes they wanted and just win on raw skill. The competitive field now is just so much closer, so I think if you do run a lot of different strategies, you're not going to hit it every single time. And also, like we said, just a little bit of a slow start in day 1, right? I think after day 1, they more or less dropped, I think, 1 or 2 games in total.
That's fair, that's fair.
It just had to warm up a little bit, perhaps.
The mid lane right now, Nisha sitting on 15 and 1 CS. As we can see, a little action top lane. Faith Beyond taking the brunt of the damage here. Chrysalis still with the Starbreaker, will fully connect, and that looks like first blood goes the way of Secret in this game number 1.
This is just such a good carry against Enigma in lane. So what generally does well... Oh, wait, this is gonna... I hope we're not gonna hear this every time they get a kill. I listened to you enough already.
Sorry about that.
Why did you have to make that one?
Had to try to compete with Slacks, you know?
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, true. Oh. Splitter F does connect really from Nisha. Nothing to say, in a bit of trouble. Gets off his shield crash, pops the Fairy Fire, will survive. But you can see the CS, I mean, pretty even overall. Would you say that this is kind of expected, Lesh versus Pango?
Yeah, I think it is ultimately slightly Leshrac favored because you have that range advantage and you're just going to spam out the harass. A lot of what ends up happening in this lane, I think, comes down to whether you can ensure that you get the 4-minute water rune on Pango. He might not even get the chance here. Nisha going back. Okay, that was a bit too crazy. But he's really trying to bully NTS out of lane here and ensure that he gets the water runes. If there is a rotation coming in now from Puppy, which I think there will be, who's, by the way, in classic Puppy style, jungling minute 3 on his Crystal Maiden.
Yep.
For value, obviously, Dawnbreaker, one of the best carries in lane against Enigma, so doesn't need too much help. He can kill the Eidolons on his own with his 2 spells. And PSG.LGD will be the ones to ensure both water runes. Actually, a bit surprising that Puppy didn't come down here at all to try to help Nisha out, because I think now the mid lane is more or less going to equalize with the resources that Nothing to Say is going to have coming in now.
There is still a bounty rune for Nisha to pick up right now as well, and it did cost them a little bit of I mean, they're rotating in to help him out, but I mean, like you said, frostbiting those creeps in the jungle. Yummy, yummy for Mr. Puppy.
Yep. Closing in on level 3. Probably going to see him skill the Arcane Aura. I'm curious about his build. Puppy, I think, is one of the Crystal Maiden players historically that's been the happiest about maxing out Aura just to try to dominate the side lanes by giving them that extra influx of mana. Yes, there will be the level 3 point. Pretty standard to go 1-1-1. it's going to be telling what he does from here on out, because I think there's also a lot of good things to be said about especially the Crystal Nova in this game. It's a good spell against the Lone Druid. It's a reliable, strong slow. It's good against the Tusk. You know, you want to slow them down so they can't stay on top of targets with Tag Team. But maybe he still rates the aura higher. All right, gonna see a little bit of a poke down here on bottom.
Yeah, Poison Touch slowing a Resolution to a crawl. You can see Zayat is coming, but it's gonna be too late. So first kill for PSG.LGD so far in this game.
I'm actually impressed with how much farm Rezo has here. I think having 21 and 7 here is pretty respectable given the laning matchup that he has.
It is a silencer off lane.
It's silencer
very
Nyx.
odd.
It's very... I think odd is a good word to describe it. We'll return now here to the lane. I think... So I don't think silencer off lane is not viable and can't be run. Obviously, I mean, Secret are onto something, right? They have an idea with this, but I do think Nyx is perhaps a little bit too much on the greedy side in terms of laning presence. Like, let's say you're playing with Clockwork or you're playing with Marcy or something. I think there's more potential to stand your ground and fight and hold the lane. But what's Zayat's going to do for you? He has one Impale, and the Lone Druid is just going to run at your silencer, and you have to yield every single time. But the good news for Secret is the other two lanes are going great. They get there, obviously the core Dawnbreaker, as expected, doing great against the Enigma in the top lane. And as we alluded to, Nisha still doing just fine in that mid. Both level 6 is now picked up in the mid lane. Wonder if we're going to see a potential rotation. I mean, both Crystal Maiden and Nyx have plays against Pango. You have the Frostbite and you have the 2 stuns on Nyx to set up the Lesh. With that level 6 Pulse Nova could be a potential play.
I don't know what the stats are now, but last I heard, Crystal Maiden win rate was approaching 70% with actually a respectable amount of games played.
Yep.
Oh, why do you think that is?
So I haven't looked too much in detail exactly at which teams play it.
65.9.
That is a very high win rate. I think part of it is what teams elect to pick it, right? I think Secret have been running it in multiple games, and they have a great win rate. So obviously that's going to inflate it a little bit. But I also just think CM in general has received some meaningful buffs lately. I think Crystal Nova is a very powerful spell when you get the right talents. And maybe also a little bit about the pacing of the game, right? Teams maybe have a slightly better understanding of what to pair it with as well. You know, in the past, one of Maiden's problems has been getting run over in lane, but you put it with Dawnbreaker carry. You know, you're probably not too worried about being beaten in lane. And then you go in transition, and something that your hero can do that a lot of 5s can't is actually you scale incredibly well with few items, right? If you get a BKB on this hero, if you get some sort of utility,
nice snowball, ends up getting out of the range of the Starbreaker, but it matters not because Puppey is here to play as well. So 1 kill for Secret as why? Approach the tier 1 tower will be fine. Resolution in the meantime. Lose nothing to say, actually died to Zayats.
Yep, so there was that mid rotation coming in from the Nyx and getting full value out of the 202 build. Very standard for Nyx to not get mana burn until later in the game. And what you do offer then is that if you connect that first stun on Pango, he can't really reset, right? You just stand in his path. And, well, he needs to be a little bit careful about how he jumps with Swashbuckle, essentially, and you can maybe catch him with Carapace as he does that to hit the creep wave. Use that as a setup for a secondary stun, and then Leshrac with the 3rd stun.
Oh, but Snowball in onto the mid lane. Nisha already at half HP. And here comes Nothing to Say with the Rolling Thunder with a big Solar Guardian coming in as well as Crystal is trying to focus down Jin Q. They'll be successful eventually. Nothing to Say has to roll away, so rotations from both sides ends up netting Secret the kill on the Tusk.
This is something Secret's lineup has in spades, actually. They don't necessarily have the best setup. You only really have the Nyx that's going to initiate moves, but you have so much counter engage. You have the Dawn ult, you have Global Silence, you have Spike Carapace. If the enemy team is the one making a move on you, and you have your spells ready, you got to be very wary as LGD about how you initiate moves. And yep, that was a nice punish there. It will, at the very least for LGD, it will give Faith beyond level 6 and a little bit of space in that top lane. He's happy to finally have a little bit of space away from this Dawn.
Secret find Ame. Zayats gets off the Impale, but see the ult coming out from the Lone Druid as Nisha's here with the Pulse Nova. Y gets up a nice Poison Touch. Nice blocks coming out from Zayats, but the Grave comes out as well. It's Nothing to Say is coming to try to help out his comrade, but oh, he actually does TP out just barely enough HP, and Nisha and company have to hightail away, but Nisha gets blocked in by the Ice Shards. Split Earth only hits on 1. You can see Resolution trying to help him out. It actually dodges the Swashbuckler. Jin Q will be the one to fall. And now they're going to turn this around to Nothing to Say as well. So it ends up being a 2-for-1 as Secret looked like they were going to lose out on that engagement, but a nice turnaround and a great voice line from Resolution. Perfect timing.
I love that movement from Nisha in that moment, by the way. it's one of those situations where Pango has an expectation of, okay, Lesh is going to retreat in this angle. Nisha just ran into them, and he took some of the swashbuckle damage, but Pango couldn't connect afterwards because he jumped across to the other side, expecting Nisha to be running away. And that means they don't have that damage in the tank to finish him off, and he will in turn just kill off, I believe it was the Tusk, and then, you know, Pango finds himself in a very compromised position as well afterwards. Worth noting, by the way, Resolution is not skilling global yet. He's level 7. He's 4-1-2 build, so I thought we were going to see the global silence as a solution to some of this aggressive movement that LGD can make, but doesn't consider it yet.
Very interesting. As the runes have been kind of eluding Mr. Nisha for quite a while. He's guessed bottom like 3 times in a row and has not been there, but still, both him and Crystallis are top net worth at the moment for the entire game. But overall, the game feel like, in terms of the actual, like, the feel of the game right now, who do you think this favors? Because we have Faith Beyond getting quite a bit of farm now into that triangle.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to say. I feel like a lot of the time when Secret gets to these super late game situations with Dawnbreaker, it falls a little bit flat a lot of the time when they play it as carry. It has its limitations. The level 25 talent, though, is amazing, but you need to get there and get the 2 Starbreaker chargers. With that said, though, they have come off to a pretty good mid-game situation now, where because Enigma's lane on this board,
into the Solar Guardian, Ame gets off his ult again. Very
not
tanky
even
boy.
remotely close to being enough damage when he gets the true form off, and it might cost Crystallis.
Yeah,
That's a snowball.
Is going to connect. You can see the lone Druid Bear going pretty ham here, but Puppey's there with the slow, and the hammer coming in now into Jin Q with the help of Resolution. So again, Secret getting the better of this engagement despite being the ones falling back initially in this fight.
That was a good time to find that skill up point into Global Silence, preventing the Shallow Grave from coming in with a potential save there onto Zinq. And yeah, good movements from Secret so far. I think they're doing a really, really good job at connecting heroes. And wow, would you have a look at the CS right now? Nisha, 10 CS per minute. Ooh, he's got 114 to the only 58 of Pango. So again, the big winner on LGD in all of this is Faith Beyond, who gets the space, but he has a lot of ground to cover. If Secret can keep up this pace, and we're looking at a potential kind of formidable mid-game where, yeah, you have this Enigma, you have this team fight, but you know you need to work around Global Silence, you know you need to work around Spike Carapace, and even Solar Guardian. So until you get BKB on Enigma, I feel like Black Hole is kind of a pipe dream. You're not really likely to get off. They will get the top tower, though. Rotation now from Ame will connect on the Lone Druid and get that last hit for his Enigma.
And
Raid Pact maybe is a time for them to try to do something. I think they're just probably end up conceding this tower. Nisha has a haste rune. Nice D-ward there.
D-ward as well. Nisha, let's see if he waits around for that Diabolic Edict cooldown, but you can see nothing to say in Jin Q in the area. You want to talk about the Roche potential from each side, because I feel like PSG.LGD, they have really good Roche fighting in that area, and Secret not nearly as much.
Yeah, that's fair, and not just the fighting, also killing Roche himself, right? Yeah, Secret's lineup does a pretty poor job at killing Roche. They don't have meaningful physical damage except Dawn, who is rushing a Deso, which will, you know, help, but it's going to be a while before Secret likely do that unless they win a big team fight beforehand, because LGD can relatively easily go and contest the area. But yeah,
nothing to say. He gets stunned right out of the gates. They don't even need the Solar Guarding. There's Nisha, nets the kill with the Split Earth. 4K lead for Secret now.
They are absolutely destroying.
Starting to run away with it, as you see Puppey's ult come out after the Frostbite, and Zayas is here with another Impale Starbreaker to finish off Jin Q.
Too late on the Grave there from Y. Kind of uncommon that he doesn't get that off in time. Yeah, Secret are crushing them right now. Just move after move. That's something that this Radiant lineup struggles with. If Pango is not having a good game, their ways of initiation, what do you have? You have the Tusk, who can maybe set it up. He just reached level 6. The supports of LGD have been massively under-leveled this game. You're finding both of them finding their 6s at like 13 minutes. Compare that to Secrets, right? Zayats is now level 8, Puppey's level 7 in a bit, so way ahead from these early successful moves. And I think it's just too integral for LGD's lineup that Jin Q was able to do some of these rotations correctly, and it just hasn't been the case. He's 1 and 5, hasn't really connected much, had the best pairings, so could foresee Secret just keep building on this lead as they will be getting more and more map control. And again, you got to pick your fights very wisely as LGD in this game. It's the amount of counter initiation makes it very, very difficult to really pick your. It's kind of like pick your poison, right? You're not going to get a free fight at any point.
Yep, definitely not at this
How long
pace.
do you need to farm? It's tricky.
Well, nothing to say. Still working on his Diffusal Blade. And you talked about Chrysalis. Just about to finish his Deso. Just needs the last component with the Blightstone. And Nisha, how fast? Oh, he already has Bloodstone. Okay, that was pretty fast.
Yep.
All right, very good.
Very, very farmed. And he's obviously this nice aggressive ward that Secret have on the inside the enemy jungle is going to allow Nisha to play very aggressively down here. It's pretty standard for Dire to do this when they do get the bottom tier 1 tower, is to start occupying this area. And Leshrac is just such an amazing hero for this. He's a difficult kill. He has the counter initiations. He has the counter initiations that we've talked about, and he can almost solo this tower in 2 rounds of Edict. So he is going to force rotation from PSG.LGD to come down here, and they really don't want to play on the defense, right? LGD's lineup is kind of crafted to hit a timing right now and go and force your towers. So if you're the one setting the agenda, you're already really happy.
Looking to tank the gank. Oh, the Global Silence is giving some cover, and the Solar Guardian coming in as well. Jin-Q is just punished right off the bat. Beautiful play from Secret as they just shut that smoke gank down immediately. Zayat's looking for more.
Oh, this could be big. They don't have
a Solar Guardian, though, yeah.
Dropped everything. Still trying.
Off the Vendetta first. Actually gets the Impale as well. Crystal is here with the huge Starbreaker, and down goes Ame. And Secret starting to really run away with this.
You're going to have a word with Resolution after this game. This is getting out of hand.
I'm going to have to give him some more money, I think. Yeah, he's doing a great job.
Yeah.
Speaking of Resolution, he has the Falcon Blade into 4 staff. He's going to see a Starbreaker again come out. Faith Beyond caught out. Don't side here. Zayat stuck inside the Ice Shards. Nothing to say. He's going to be blocked up by said Ice Shards. And the 4 staff that we just talked about from Resolution coming into play already. 7K lead for Secret. They're looking very good for them. And again, I mean, if you have a big enough lead, then taking Roche isn't that hard, considering like you just get a pick off or 2 and then you can just take it. But I feel like that is the best opportunity for LG to get back into this game.
Yeah, I think ideally what they want to do is once Global Silence and the Dawn ult have come out, you want to smoke and make your own move, right? Because that's sort of one moment in time where you can initiate something without the fear of just getting immediately globally countered. But they're not managing to do that right now. They have about 30 seconds to go if they did want to make a rotation, but Secret are very firmly planted in the bottom half of the map while LGD are in the top, so they're not going to find anything, and that just means that minute 18, Secret are just ready to rock and roll again. And it's hard to see the path for LGD to initiate fight. So maybe you just need to, again, slow things down, farm it up. But what's the exact timing you're playing for? So your Lone Druid has Maelstrom and he's going towards the Mjolnir. Your Enigma is not going BKB because he's going to be scared about Global the whole game and maybe he will just never get to use Black Hole, more or less. So he's going for the Greaves. Alright, they're going to try to turn this into a Roche. I kind of like this. I think maybe if they did this a little bit earlier, this would have been a higher impact play because actually the Global and the Donald are now online again. So might have missed the timing if Secret find this opportunity to get in there with Zayats.
Yep, Roche
thinking
going
about
down
it.
Slowly. Wraith packed inside as Nisha seems to have a decent idea that this is happening. He's just going to walk right in with the Split Art. Gets off the Pulse Nova and the Bloodstone ahead of him. The Soul Guardian on the outskirts as Zayas gets stunned, but nothing to say. Already gets off his Rolling Thunder, but a huge Starbreaker. Chrysalis deletes Faith Beyond. Jin-Q starting to get quite low as Puppy's the first to fall for Secret, so it's a 1-for-1. He's going to buy back into the game, though. Double kill from Chrysalis coming out as well, and Nisha pretty much out of mana, but it's just enough to take out Ame. And now Y and company from LGD have to get the hell out of here as Secret will likely get the Roche.
Yeah, maybe Secret kind of let them do that.
Thanks for the damage.
Do the hard work for us. You know, we can't really kill Roche ourselves that quickly, so if you guys would please get into a quarter health, we'll just show up with our spells and clean you out. They didn't even use Global. Like, Rezo actually doesn't have the mana for it right now. It was not necessary in that fight. They had a Donald, which was okay to connect on the side. We're going to see the replay here. So I love the way Secret approached this fight by sending in Leshrac first. He knows he has so much defensive cover plus the Bloodstone that he's not worried. And they find this connection on the left-hand side. This pretty much ends the fight. They kill off the Enigma with the Nyx as well as the Dawnbreaker ult. Connect that. And Ame, sure, you find the Crystal Maiden in the middle of that fight, but you're in the middle of the fight against Lesh, and you're not getting out of there afterwards. So easy cleanup for Secret. And man, going into the series today, I was not expecting that any game would be this one-sided as this is looking right now. Are LGD adopting some sort of new strategy? You know, start out slow in groups, and then you pick up some steam. You go into the playoffs, you start off slow in game number 1, you pick up your steam. It's going to be the question, because this one is it's not looking healthy right now.
So if I'm not mistaken, at the Arlington Major, I was casting a game of PSG.LGD. We're down by like 20+ K. Like it was at the top hat shellacking level. And they brought it back. So this is the one team I would not be comfortable with a lead, no matter how much. As we see mass TPs now from PSG.LGD. Global Science to give him some cover. Nisha really wants to finish off the Dazzle, but not going to be able to do so. Now completely out of mana, but remember, does have the Aegis still intact. Might have to use it here, but Solar Guardian is healing up to a decent amount. Crystallis not able to connect on any stuns, though. As Secret looking to potentially reset, but no kills come out from PSG.LGD.
They killed the bear in the meantime.
Yeah. Is that bear number 1 or is that 2?
I think that is bear number 2. Yeah.
Oh,
50-second cooldown now for Ame. Yeah, if somebody has experience killing creeps with Freezing Field, it is Puppy, so feels really good about that. That's a very big creep there. A so-called creep hero, if you will. Has very... If you're new to Dota, Lone Druid's bear is complicated. It's
yeah. That's true.
That's its Facebook status. It's complicated. All right. Nice carapace.
Oh, beautiful setup. Splitter to follow, and the Impale again. Nothing to say is dead. And that's Secret, man.
You got to be so careful about this as Pango. You kind of need to weigh the pros and cons of using Swashbuckle like this, because you could obviously Swashbuckle toward your own base with the damage, right? But he wanted to get a little bit of value poke out of it. Gets carapace and gets killed. So you gotta second guess yourself a lot of the time with your Pango instincts when you are playing against this hero and it's missing, because you never know when you're gonna connect on that carapace and you're just getting killed off by that. So oh yeah, the classic wrestler, no global, we can fight easy. Well, he didn't have mana.
Oh, Impale set up onto Faith Beyond with the Solar Guardian, but a nice Tusk Snowball mitigates a lot of it as Crystal's popped the BKB a little bit prematurely. Starbreak doesn't really connect very well, but they still have the damage, it looks like, to take out Faith Beyond. And Jin-Q is next on the list. So despite the Secret initiation not going as planned, I mean, with this kind of a lead, it doesn't really matter sometimes.
It's just such a strong position for their lineup to play on this high ground, right? And you're seeing again Faith Beyond. He's just holding Black Hole. He can't use it. So the impact of this hero very, very minimal so far in this game, considering what we've seen from Enigma earlier in the tournament. Secret seems to have a very good understanding of how to solve it. Looks like Y will also finding a quick way back to base. As Grave.
Yeah.
Okay. He kind of juked them by running in a line.
Yep, sometimes it's the hardest path to follow. Okay.
That is really impressive that he found a way out of that.
On the other side of the map, though, Jin-Q gets off the initiation. Already has his shard as Zayas gets off the Impale, as Nisha has to walk his way around, but looks like Jin-Q is likely to fall. He's getting healed up, though. And still the Aegis in line for Nisha, so he is not scared. Eventually, Jin-Q goes down, and there's the stun follow-up. And Nisha, they're looking for the bear. That's all the damage that Ame has.
I mean,
get Lightning Storm
just
down. He's going to continue on now. They're looking for a full team wipe potentially. Global Silence is there. Nisha just hedging his bets. GG is called. And Secret completely stopped game number 1. Not what we were expecting, but Secret up to an amazing start.
Yeah, that was not even remotely close. Just absolutely crushed them start to finish. The lanes went well. I think the double counter to the Enigma really caused a lot of problems for LGD. I mean, it's easy to say, right? Because he never cast Black Hole. It's pretty rare that you see a game with Enigma not using ulti a single time.
Yeah,
but
true.
you got to look at it from his perspective. He's playing into some super hard counters. They let the Silencer through to second phase. Secret more than happy to pick that up and just put on a clinic in this game. Everything went exceptionally well. Nisha got the fast Bloodstone like you talked about. He gets the Aegis and they just get the job done. Like, he runs in, what's killing him? They have no healing reduction. He puts on the Bloodstone, goes to town, hits a lot of units with Pulse Nova, and just heals out of everything.
LGD kind of, I mean, I was going to say on the ropes. Technically on the ropes would be lower bracket. They obviously would still have another life if they were able to, if they were going to lose a second game in the series. But I mean, this was beyond any of our understanding, I feel like, or our predictions, especially yours. Because you always pick LGD to win, and they always lose somehow.
That is just not true. I mean, they win a lot of the time, but I mean, they do lose sometimes.
Technically, you're right, actually.
Yeah, it is important to be technically correct.
That is correct.
The best kind of correct.
I mean, going into game 2, what do you think What does LGD need to do? Was this a draft thing? Was this a laning stage thing?
I think part of it was definitely the draft. I think they had some problems with how the lanes went, so I think that's where you want to start, and then go from there, build yourself a game so that you can be competitive in the mid game.
All right, well, with that, let's see what the panel has to say, and let's see if Jenkins has gotten a haircut in the last night.
Second, and that was tough to do because blink and you miss it. This game was very fast here, joined by Effie Lacoste and of course Jenkins, indeed still with his long hair. Jenkins, breaking this game down, it went a little bit different than what you were expecting.
Jenkins.
Jenkins.
I will say I'm very surprised that Suns fan was the one casting that. He didn't say what level of shellacking that was, because that was a very high tier shellacking. Obviously, with him being the leader of the council, it's I can't say it was definitely Gaben level shellacking. And LGD, nonetheless, like that's insane. Nobody expected this. Nobody. Not a game that is that decisive.
I'm still kind of shocked. That went completely the opposite of what I thought would happen. We were completely wrong. The Lone Druid looked like it did nothing. The Silencer actually had a great time. The Dazzle felt countered also by the Silencer, not just the Enigma. And Enigma never really found his entry point into the game. I just want to kind of take it back to that Nisha mid lane dominance, though. He completely bullied out Nothing to Say his Pangolier and made it so that the access into the game through the tempo of the Pango could never actually happen because there was just so much pressure coming out of the Slush Rack. And of course, the early Dawnbreaker rotations by Crystalist, he was getting so many kills. The first Tusk rotation mid, against Slush went completely bad because Dawn was already level 6, and they just, it felt like Secret had their number every step of that game.
I know it's a meme, this Nisha is such a consistent player thing, but I do feel like he's 7-0-6, he's just, it's like he's consistent, but he's consistently diving towers and consistently getting away at 10% HP. The guy's a monster.
He knows that he has the back of his team with either like Crystallis backing him up, the Global Silence, Nyx Assassin with the Carapace. I mean, we thought this game's gonna go in a different way, but yeah, they completely shut down Enigma. One of the few times where you see like Fate Beyond being completely mitigated. Like he couldn't do anything. I don't think we've seen a single black hole. Sometimes we don't see a black hole where there's like the threat of the black hole is stronger than he's actually using the black hole. Yeah. But this time around, playing against the Silencer as well, very difficult game. Like Nothing to Say. I feel like he needed to be that guy that is gonna step up for his team in this one, because like. Sure, Dazzle is a position 5, doesn't move around the map that easily, but as you said, Jenkins, he got completely dominated by Nisha.
Based on that performance, I don't think LGD can go for these Pangos versus Leshrocks, right? They have to go for some hero that can self-sustain and just not get kicked out of a lane if they're going to win the game. At least if they're going to play something like a Lone Druid from the safe lane. So there's going to be a lot of revision, but I still have faith that we're going to have a good series here today, and it's not going to be a 2-0.
Well, it's going to be a very important mid-series moment for them to get the speed that they need to force out that third game. And while we are taking that moment, we're also going to have a moment with Slacks and Casey.
Back to you.
And while we are taking that moment, we're also going to have a moment with Slacks and Casey.
Hello, thank you so much, Shevers. Casey, one of the greatest things about Dota, about the International, is one of my favorite things in general. It is content, and it is the short film contest. We have a very special opportunity here to show you some of the finalists. Now, you watch these, right, Casey? You enjoy all the different short films out there, all the different Dota content, right?
Yeah.
Well, we have 3 of the best ones coming up here. We have one that was hand-drawn in anime style. We have a live-action one, and we have one made with some source filmmaker and other stuff. So the Dota community gets so creative with these things. I'm sorry I'm monologuing, but we got a chance. So go ahead, Casey, if you can, please take a break from that LGD game, wash your face a little bit, take a breather, and get ready to watch some short films. Let's take a look.
I think he's gone.
Your life is mine.
Oh, they're all so good.
That was insane. That was insane.
That's mad. I mean, you said how everybody's so talented. We saw the first one. This one's gonna win. We saw the second one. Oh, wait a second.
Wow. And the third one, we need live action
We
Dota
do.
movie.
I didn't even know you could submit live action Dota short films. That's so cool. How much did it cost to make, do you think? That looked expensive. They're special
Those were all
effects and,
dark.
like-
I liked how dark all of those were. That was good.
Oh, I mean, they were dark, but they were good. I mean, Dota is a fairly dark game.
It is.
If you think about it, so it's very fitting. Is there any that you have favorite of those three? Or?
I'm gonna go with the second.
I think number 2 for me.
Yeah?
Number
I think
2 was good.
For me, the third one, because I haven't seen someone submit a live action.
Are we gonna expect an Effie live action short film next year?
I don't know. I have no talent. It's okay.
How about you, Jenkins?
I'll be the one that says that's not true.
Thanks, Jenkins.
Nobody's
I appreciate
You
you.
guys just said nothing. I was like, oh, surely Shiva's gonna. Yeah, that's not true.
Let that sink in.
I got
How do I
got
tell her that I agree?
No.
She said it.
Speaking of talent, there's a lot of it on the main stage of the playoffs here for the international Team Secret. 1 game up against PSG.LGD in this upper bracket match. And they did it very fast, very convincingly. And we know the PSG.LGD is a very veteran team. They also know how to come back from a loss. Where do you start when you have those 10 minutes between game end and game